Hey guys, it's Destiny, and the most mysterious and also, in my opinion, one of the prettiest characters has just released, and it's none other than Acheron. I totally don't have a bias, by the way, because she's primarily purple, and I just love purple characters. But I mean, also look at her weapon, she's just so cool, and her gameplay definitely does not disappoint. I'll be going over everything you guys need to know about her in today's video, which ranges from her kit, how to play her, best builds, and of course, my personal thoughts on her as a character now that she's out. This will be based on her performance, if she is restrictive with team comps and build options, and ultimately, if I truly think Acheron is worth pulling for. Lastly, if you guys do enjoy videos like these, leave a like on the video to win your next 50/50, and also comment one of your favorite games that you would recommend others to try out. Without further ado, let's talk about Acheron.
Stream forth the gleam of old blades. Restore this lost memory.
Let's start by going over the basics of Acheron. Acheron is now the second limited 5-star Lightning Nihility character in Honkai Star Rail, the first one being Kafka. Even though these two are both part of the same Nihility path and element, they both have very different functions when it comes to how they operate as a character. Acheron takes a different approach to team building and how she will deal majority of her damage as a whole. The main source of Acheron's damage is her ultimate, which is called /Dreams Cries in Red and has one of the coolest animations in Honkai Star Rail. The ultimate involves very important stacks that you guys need to know about, which are Crimson Knot stacks and /Dream stacks. This ultimate will also reduce all enemies' ult type resistance and ignore their weakness type, which means she'll be able to reduce the toughness meter of an enemy regardless of what they are weak to. So when it comes to her ultimate, she's going to be launching 4 attacks onto enemies. 3 of these attacks are referred to as Rain Blade, and the final strike being Resurge. Your damage will heavily increase by having as many Crimson Knot stacks as possible on an enemy, and it's preferable to try to get all 9 of these stacks on one enemy, so when Acheron unleashes her ultimate, her Rain Blade slashes will remove 3 Crimson Knot stacks per attack. This allows her to deal lightning damage onto all enemies as well, and allows you to have a really nice damage increase with those 3 attacks. So definitely prioritize getting your Crimson Knot stacks stacked up on a single enemy so that you can deal a bunch of damage with your Acheron's ultimate. And while this ultimate is super strong, instead of energy being required to use the ultimate, Acheron will need the other stacks I mentioned, which are the /Dream stacks. She requires 9 of these stacks total to unleash her ultimate, and she can also overcap on how many stacks she's holding by an additional 3. As to how to get stacks for her ultimate, she can acquire 1 or 2 stacks depending on what light cone she is using from her skill. While she can gain her own stacks, if I'm being honest with you guys, this is just way too slow most of the time to effectively use her ultimate at a decent rate. So the other ways to get her stacks is through your other characters debuffing enemies, and whenever enemies inflict a debuff onto each other. One example when it comes to enemies is, let's say this fish was on the field, right? And then the fish goes boom, inflicts defense debuffs on the enemy beside them. This will actually make Acheron pretty happy, not just because of the defense drop, but because she will also get 1 /Dream stack toward her ultimate from the fish exploding. As for allies, she can get 1 stack from any ally inflicting a debuff onto an enemy. You can only get 1 stack per action though. So I have seen a lot of people ask, what about Sampo? He has a multi-hitting attack with his skill. Does that mean you'll get multiple stacks? Unfortunately, the answer is no. You will only be able to get 1 stack regardless of how many hits are in a singular action. It's a different case though if you use a skill, and then after the skill use an ultimate that counts as 2 actions, so you can get 2 stacks that way. But because of allies being able to help Acheron with her stacks, you definitely want teammates who can inflict a debuff in some type of fashion. What's even better about this though is that Acheron actually gets a massive damage increase from having Nihility characters on the team, which takes a different approach to team building overall. Acheron's trace, the Abyss, will allow her attacks to be increased to 150% with 1 Nihility character, or 160% with 2 Nihility allies of the original damage. For a quick math example of what this should mean, let's say you dealt 60,000 damage. If you have 1 Nihility ally, you will deal 69,000 damage, and if you have 2 Nihility allies on the team, you will end up dealing 96,000 damage, which is a pretty crazy increase just from having 2 Nihility characters on your team alongside Acheron. I'll go over some team comps I also really like with Acheron once we get into the team building section later in this video, but when it comes to other noteworthy things of Acheron's base kit, her skill is able to hit an enemy and adjacent, which can be nice for landing a final blow on an enemy beside the main one you are targeting, and also just dealing more chip damage. Her Trace Thunder Core will allow her to further increase her damage potential from those Crimson Knot stacks I mentioned earlier, and her Trace Red Oni will allow her to start the battle off with 5 Crimson Knot stacks on an enemy and 5 Slash Dream stacks for herself. Using a technique can debuff enemies though, which can allow you to actually start off with more Crimson Knot and Slash Dream stacks and start a battle, so do make sure to use debuffing techniques when Acheron is on the team to enter battle. As for her many Trace bonuses, she will get attack, crit damage, and also lightning damage boost, which is awesome for Acheron being even more of a powerhouse. The last thing I have to discuss though from her base kit is definitely her technique. Ever wanted an easy way to farm simulated universe or overworld farming? Acheron is the one for this. Her technique allows her to literally send weaker enemies to the freaking Shadow Realm, and honestly, this makes grinding so much easier. And I honestly really like this because it's just a really nice quality of life perk I thought I'd mention. Her technique also allows her to reduce enemy toughness meter and deal damage to enemies at the start of each wave, which is a very strong technique for dealing more damage and also being able to get stacks. Now I've gone over the essentials of Acheron though, let's go over some team buildings and some rotations with her.
Bring forth the gleam of old blades. Restore this lost memory.
When it comes to team building with Acheron, there are quite a few combinations you could do with her. After doing extensive testing with team comps and messing around with characters, I'll give you guys my favorite comps. For a general comp, the 2 Nihility playstyle is the way to go in my opinion. I like having Pela, Silverwolf, or Black Swan as one of the allies beside Acheron, and then have a flexible spot for the 3rd Nihility, and depending on who that is, we can pick a sustain from that point. My favorite team comp is Black Swan, Acheron, and Pela, alongside Sparkle, Ruame, or a sustain. This comp is amazing at allowing Acheron to completely destroy the enemy, because Black Swan and Pela or Silverwolf can allow you to get near 100% defense shred, and Acheron's damage will skyrocket as a result, especially because she already gives herself these massive damage increases, reducing enemy ult type resistance, and now the defense drops from her allies allow her to hit very consistent high numbers. I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I have never hit a million freaking damage with a character before, especially at E0. And after this video, do make sure to check out my Acheron showcase because you will not be disappointed. Black Swan and Silverwolf can inflict debuffs with their basic attack, skill, or ultimate, so they can consistently get Acheron stacks without needing to use too many skill points. Pela can only debuff with her skill and ultimate, but if you have Resolution Shines as Pearls of Sweat as a light cone option on Pela, this light cone is incredible to have on one of your Nihility characters for Acheron teams. As long as the character holding this light cone has a good amount of effect hit rate, they'll be able to reduce an enemy's defense and can be more skill point positive for the team overall. Another team synergy I really enjoy is Welt and Acheron. Welt can act as a pseudo-sustain because he can slow down enemies, and since he is a Nihility character, this allows you to run 2 Nihility characters and potentially a Harmony character as your 4th character on the team without actually needing Acheron's 2nd Eidolon. Of course though, a powerhouse team can get similar results, but Welt is pretty nice at allowing you to stack a bunch of debuffs onto enemies before their turn comes up again, which is actually amazing for being able to basically destroy your enemies before they can actually hit you in some cases. If you do decide to go with the Welt route, I would recommend a strong Harmony character for your final spot. Ruame and Sparkle felt very comfortable to me, since Ruame and Welt can both assist in delaying enemies. Ruame has nice team-wide buffs that can help with weakness breaking enemies faster, more damage increases, resistance penetration, and much more. In the case of using Sparkle, she'll allow Acheron to attack more often, and also give her a massive crit damage bonus. Crit values are very important on Acheron, and she just enjoys them very much because she is a multi-hitting character, especially with her ultimate. So you're going to want as much crit rate as possible and also a good amount of crit damage with Acheron, which Sparkle supplies you all the crit damage you would need if you are lacking it in your build. Another team synergy I enjoy is Black Swan and another damage over time user. You can go with Kafka, Sampo, Gwynnifin, and so on. Black Swan, Kafka, and Acheron is a very nice team comp for being able to get Acheron her ultimate back pretty fast, especially with the right sustains. Of course though, in the case of Memory of Chaos teams, I would personally recommend probably going the Acheron Pela route for one team, and another Nihility, and then having Kafka Swan on the other side if you do want two very strong teams for your Memory of Chaos runs. But for other damage over time users, they could be pretty handy with the debuffs they can inflict and overall assist Acheron with getting her stacks. I would prioritize using characters though, or at least one character on the team with Acheron that can inflict defense drops onto enemies. Now for the last parts of team building with Acheron. When it comes to your sustain options, if you're not using a pseudo sustain Welt or no sustain, your best option is going to be having a preservation class character as your final slot. This could be Fire MC, Japard, March 7th, Fushun, or even Aventurine in the future. All of these characters can hold the Trend Market Light Cone, which has a base chance to burn an enemy who attacks them. This counts as a debuff, and because of that, your preservation class characters can get you a bunch of stacks for Acheron's ultimate without even having to attack the enemy. Fire MC is going to be able to get Acheron a stack by using their skill, since Fire MC's taunting ability is able to get Acheron a stack. Japard's skill can help Acheron get stacks because of the freeze. March 7th's ultimate can also help since she can freeze enemies. Aventurine will be able to debuff an enemy with his ultimate, which can help for getting more stacks for Acheron. And lastly, there's Fushun. While Fushun doesn't have a way to debuff other than the Trend Market Light Cone, and of course, if you weakness break with her or an ally, the crit rate she provides is very, very valuable for Acheron. The closer you get to 100% crit rate with your Acheron, the more consistency you will see with her damage potential. I have missed a few crits with Acheron, and I'm not gonna lie to you guys, it definitely sucks. Fushun is a very comfortable character to play. Her sustainability also makes the feel for the team really safe when it comes to getting hits back to back. So for sustainability, I really like Fushun for sure. And if you decide to go the healer route, most of our healers are pretty comfortable with Acheron, but one option I really enjoy is Gallagher. Gallagher is the newest 4-star option on Acheron's banner, and after getting to play around with him, he's really nice with granting Acheron stacks with his ultimate and his enhanced basic attack. Gallagher's ultimate can inflict debuffs onto enemies and also advance him forward by 100%, which now allows you to get 2 stacks essentially back to back. His healing potential overall is also pretty nice for keeping the team healthy and alive. When it comes to rotations, you'll want to ensure that when you use Acheron's ultimate that your other team members have already applied their debuffs onto the enemy. For example, let's say I get Acheron's ultimate before I use Pela's ultimate for the defense drop. It's preferable to actually hold Acheron's ultimate and not use it right away. You'd wait until after the defense drop and then use Acheron's ultimate for higher damage output. As mentioned before, you can also overcap on your /stream stacks by an additional 3 stacks, so holding the ultimate in most cases is perfectly fine. In the case of Black Swan, if you use her ultimate, you'll want to wait until it's the enemy's turn to unleash Acheron's ultimate, since you can have a higher damage output from Epiphany being on the enemy. Overall, you can go with various Nihility options with Acheron, and definitely have fun with experimenting with our Nihility options as well as sustains, and it really comes down to personal preference with how you enjoy playing Acheron. I just thought I'd give you guys my thoughts on teams I really enjoy, and also general tips when it comes to playing her. Now though, let's go over some Acheron builds I enjoy, and I'll give you guys my opinion on her value and if she is worth it.
Stream forth the gleam of old blades. Restore this lost memory.
When it comes to building Acheron, my #1 recommendation is Pioneer Diver of Dead Waters set. Try saying that 5 times fast. If we take a close look at this relic set, the flowers on them look pretty familiar. And the fact that this set works really well on Acheron is very fitting. This relic set allows Acheron to deal more damage to debuffed enemies, which when you play an Acheron team and have other Nihility characters on the team, you'll always be able to benefit from the 2-piece effect, and also the 4-piece effect. The 4-piece allows your Acheron to have more crit damage and crit rate depending on how many debuffs are on enemies, which is pretty easy to achieve with Nihility-centric teams. Other sets you can use would be the Prisoner set if you play Acheron with a damage over time team, and you could potentially also consider the Quantum set if you use characters like Silverwolf on the team, but I would recommend the Pioneer set the most. As for Planars, I recommend the new Planar set that just came out with version 2.1, as this gives you attack and a good amount of crit rate. Other options can be a Nerd Salcedo for the ultimate damage increase and also more crit rate, and when it comes to her main stats, you want to go crit damage or crit rate body piece. This comes down to what you have more in your substats. If you have more crit rate than crit damage, then crit damage can be the way to go. But if you have more crit damage than crit rate, I would definitely go for crit rate body. Out of personal preference though, I prefer the crit rate body, since getting as close as possible to 100% crit rate just feels really nice on a character like Acheron. For your boots, you can go speed or attack boots, but personally I prefer the attack boots. This allows her damage output to be higher with her ultimate, and also if you have Nihility team members with a high speed investment, they can get you a good amount of stacks, so attack boots feels pretty nice to me honestly. If you do want Acheron to be able to use her skill more often though, then you can go for speed boots, but for those who are playing Sparkle with Acheron, definitely go for attack boots. For Orb, you can go for attack or lightning damage, both were able to get me 0 cycles in Memory of Chaos, and I would prioritize your substats on those pieces. Lastly, for your rope, you want to go for attack rope. Acheron does not use energy at all for her ultimate, as she works based on /stream stacks. So attack is 100% the way to go for her rope option. For your substats, I recommend investing into your crit rate and crit damage the most, then attack, and then finally speed for your final 4 priority stats. Now we have light cone options for Acheron. Her signature is her best option, as this will give her much valued crit damage, as well as her dealing more damage to enemies inflicted with the light cone's debuff. And some things to keep in mind with this light cone is that you'll be able to get 2 stacks from using her skill, and the debuff from this light cone is guaranteed. No effect hit rate is needed to apply this debuff. For those that are a bit unsure about her signature though, I got you with alternatives. Goodnight Sleep Well is an awesome option for her, as she'll be able to get the maximum damage increase from this light cone, and this makes this light cone one of the best 4-star options. Also, just to let you guys know, I actually have a video going up after this video showcasing her signature and other light cone options, so do be sure to check that out. As for other options though, I would recommend Incessant Rain for the crit rate, as well as the Aether Code effect. Patience is all you need for the additional stack with her skill if you inflict erode onto the enemy. For Mana can also work as a free-to-play option if you use Acheron with characters like Sampo, Black Swan, Kafka, or technically even Serval for inflicting shock or wind shear onto enemies, so you can take advantage of the damage increase from the Fermata light cone. Do keep in mind though that Serval is not Nihility, so you'll want to prioritize the other 3 options a bit more to make sure Acheron gets her 2 Nihility ally damage bonus. You can also look at Resolution Shine's Pearls of Sweat, but I do believe that this would be much better on a team member rather than Acheron herself, but of course it is an option you can use, especially if you do want that chance of getting the 2 stacks instead of 1 stack with her skill. Now that we've gone over her builds though, let's go over what I think about Acheron after getting to play her and her overall value.
Stream forth the gleam of old blades. Restore this lost memory.
When it comes to Acheron's value, I have to say right off the bat, she is incredibly strong. After playing her with numerous teams, some far lower investment than others, she's still able to hit a good amount of damage, which is arguably higher than majority of the DPS characters in the game. When it comes to the topic if she needs her light cone to be good, I would say her light cone is very valuable, but you don't need it for Acheron to be very strong and worthwhile for your account. As for present and future value, currently I feel like Acheron is definitely one of the top DPS options, and with the right team comps, she quite literally just dominates whoever and whatever she is fighting. I believe Acheron will progressively get stronger in the future too, since she can get more Nihility characters that can further improve her damage and synergy potential even further. And I do think that she is a new and interesting change to how team building operates and what Honkai Star Rail can do with their characters. Acheron not caring about energy and loving a team with specifics makes her very different than our usual DPS characters. And And I do think this is a cool thing for characters operating differently than others. Of course, though, she's not going to be everyone's cup of tea when it comes to her playstyle. So while I think Acheron is most certainly worthwhile for you to pull, if you really don't like majority of the points I made within this video, the gameplay of her playstyle, then Acheron might just not be the one for you, and that's perfectly fine. Overall, I think her only real flaw can be if you don't have a lot of Nihility characters built at all on your account, then it can be harder to take advantage of her damage bonuses. But this is heavily account dependent, so it more so just depends on if you have the Nihility characters built or not. Other than that though, there are ways to get her ultimate fast, to sometimes even using it numerous times in single cycles, multiple options for debuffers that can synergize well with her, even making some sustains that some of us don't really use much anymore that can pair really nicely with her. For example, one being Fire MC. Overall, I have to say, Acheron is by far one of the strongest characters in Honkai Star Rail, and I would 100% say she is worth it if you guys want a very strong DPS character on your account. That'll be all for my full review on Acheron, but before you guys go, I thought I'd say to stay tuned for my Acheron showcases coming out very soon. And also, let me know if you guys do plan to pull for Acheron, or if you're going to pass on this one and go for someone else. Best of luck for all of your summons, whether you go for her or not. And if you do enjoy the video, do make sure to subscribe, leave a like to support the video, and I hope to see you all next time. Peace.